it is important in these uncertain times to try and hear from corporate leaders and captains of India Inc. about how their businesses and their companies are coping up with this and what's the impact on business, if it is possible to predict that. Now, Morgan Stanley, in a note that has come out today, has said that a couple of IT companies that they spoke to said that there are no project cancellations, but some furloughs happening at client sites. Well, that was a mid-cap IT company. Let's talk to one of the largest IT companies, and Mr. C.P. Gurnani joins in right now, Tech Mahindra, to talk about his thoughts. Mr. Gurnani, thanks for joining in. How is Tech Mahindra coping with this?
For Tech Mahindra, when I look at the various businesses, it has become very, very critical that some of the businesses have a more important and critical function to keep not only the lights on, but to give better service. Any of the businesses that we are doing in citizen services, energy sector, telecom, media and entertainment, healthcare, I think those are the ones where they are under essential services, and I think those businesses, we are doing everything which includes work from home. Some of our campuses are being converted into residential camps where the attendance would be less than 10%, but some of the work cannot be moved to home. So I can only say I have about 20 task forces right now that are working on number one priority, which is employee health, employee safety, and clearly making sure that we are ready to mitigate any health or safety risks. So I can only say is that unprecedented times, but we are coping with it.
Sure you are. So no project cancellations thus far, Mr. Gurnani?
No project cancellation. As a matter of fact, we probably signed a few new deals, particularly through one of our subsidiary, HCI, which is in healthcare in U.S. I mean, they've signed up new deals. One of the other American hospitality chain has actually signed up a new deal for workstation as a service, which is really, providing workstation, virtual desktop from home in a secure environment. So touch wood, no cancellations, but clearly we are not running at full capacity at the moment. I mean, there is a disruption, and the clients and us are able to collaborate on how to work through that disturbance.
Right. Mr. Gurnani, good morning. Devina here. Just want to get a sense from you as to whether you've received any communications from existing clients on payment schedules. Is there a possibility of some of them asking for an extended payment schedule? And client budgets, do you feel that now spending on change the business, IT could take a little bit of a backseat, and whatever pool of money that they have to invest will be purely on run the business?
I think Devina have had a few conversations, but as I said, they were more related to providing continuity of the service. So, for example, a telecom customer in UK, the CEO, she called me, and she was getting stressed about because most of her work was being done from Mumbai and Pune. And the movement of people, movement of workstations, or to set up new processes from home. So I think the conversations have been more on business continuity than to say what the world will look like post-COVID-19. I don't think those conversations are really begun right now.
Sure, Mr. Gurnani, I'm getting the point. I also want to get your sense on when there is a total freeze the clock kind of a moment right now in terms of, the economy. The economic engine has come to a halt. Therefore, is it safe to assume that if the economy is not growing, IT companies such as yourself will also not land up seeing the kind of growth targets that you would have internally had? I'm not saying share them with me, but even Accenture recently, cut their full year revenue guidance down to 3 to 6% from 6 to 8%.
So, Devina, as I told you that I have 19 task forces working right now. And one of the task forces is clearly looking at the life post-COVID-19. None of us is saying that it will be a growth phase for the next 1 year. All we are trying to see is which services are more likely to be in demand. So, for example, on the collaborative tools, on workstation from as a service or telehealth, those are the kind of services we're putting it on a higher priority right now. May come to a standstill because the clients will also have to reconfigure their priorities. So I can only say is that we're doing various business models on life after COVID-19, but it's a bit early to say what the impact would be.
All right, got that. Mr. Gurnani, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you taking out the time and being with us, this morning. Interesting thoughts there. So obviously they have a big task force that they have already put in place. And also one of those task forces to look at life post-COVID-19 and whether or not there are any other bigger opportunities. But obviously growth is going to suffer, and that's something that he's put out pretty categorically. The other pocket to look at, obviously, is what happens to the FMCG space. Now, yesterday, you've got a package that's been announced for, the lesser privileged, and that puts some money into their hands. Whether or not that goes back into purchasing of staples and FMCG products, let's get in a sense from Mr. Vivek Karve of Marico. He's joining us right now on the phone line. Mr. Karve, thanks very much for taking out the time. Your first reaction and your first assessment that you can give us as to how the industry is doing and how Marico as a company is doing.
Yeah, hi, good morning to all of you. I must admit that this has been an unprecedented event in the history of any nation, and we are definitely not an exception. But what we are trying to do is do everything possible to make available the essential commodities to our consumers. So, as you know, some of our products are food edible products, and therefore our attempt will always be to make it available to the consumer. Most of our food plants are working, although we are facing issues in terms of availability of labor and availability of transport. Many of our depots are also functioning. In some of the states, we are yet to get regulatory approvals, but we hope to get them soon. So as soon as we have people who can operate, I think we should be up and running to enable supply of essential commodities to distributors and thereafter to the retailers.
Mr. Karve, in any shape and form, do you feel that there is a possibility of price reduction? I mean, you're also getting benefits of lower raw material prices. So do you think that there's a possibility of passing that on to consumers in this time?
So right now, our entire effort is to make the product available, and the entire effort is channelized towards that initiative.
The reason I ask that, Mr. Karve, is also because, there is very limited cash in hands of people right now. So it is a bit constricted to spend on essential commodities, and therefore any sort of a price leeway could be that much more incrementally positive. And that's the only reason why I asked.
No, I understand your query. But if you look at Marico's product portfolio, especially say Saffola edible oil, it's anyway an urban phenomenon. And right now, the consumer's concern will be whether I can get this product. I don't think the concern will be whether I can get it at a reduced price.
Okay, so Mr. Karve, what you're essentially saying is pricing is not the point of debate right now. You're not tinkering with the prices thus far. You're essentially putting out the product on the shelves right now for people to consume.
That is the biggest priority for us right now.
Okay, have you altered the production schedules of product A versus product B in your portfolios as well? Because some products might see higher demand versus some products might not see as higher demand right now.
Yeah, so we are definitely operating plants that are manufacturing foods, both edible oils as well as food products such as oats. And this is the portfolio which we are prioritizing. In any case, our personal care factories right now we have suspended production till such time we get the regulatory approvals.
Okay, so that's only pertaining to the regulatory approvals. Just one small question, Mr. Karve. And again, it's debatable to say what would happen in quarter to quarter, but I'm just trying to wonder, businesses which will probably survive this in a better fashion than others might actually turn out trumps as well. Do you reckon that the not because of the price reduction that you haven't taken, but because of the fact that the commodity prices have come off, that might just help you cushion the possible impacts due to the lockdown a little bit better than what otherwise would have been?
Very difficult to answer again, because according to me, the entire COVID lockdown will have medium to long-term implications on capital creation, jobs, and overall consumption. So we also need to weigh that properly before we assess the impact on the business. However, we find comfort in the fact that we have a portfolio which is essential in nature from a consumer point of view, and to that extent, it would provide us with some shield against any possible slowdown.
Mr. Karve, aside from the fact that you are a little bit short on labor, is there any issues with the logistics and any issues with the wholesale and the retail channels that you're facing?
Yeah, certainly there is definitely going to be an issue with the feet on street, because everybody wants his own safety to be protected. We are definitely not forcing, because for us, safety of our people as well as our extended community is of paramount importance to us. However, wherever possible, we are trying to facilitate transportation, because even truck availability and loaders availability is also an issue. Having said that, we are hoping that modern trade and e-commerce will also eventually get the necessary regulatory approvals to operate. And this could be one channel where we can see some better traction in terms of moving of the goods.
So do you feel that your focus now could be more on pushing products through the likes of Flipkart, Amazon, and the likes?
Yes, I think our focus is going to be always broad, because we continue to be a company that almost 3/4 of our business still comes from the general trade, like many other companies in the FMCG sector. But yes, in the short term, given the disruption caused because of the outbreak, modern trade and e-commerce are the two channels that we would definitely like to focus a lot on.
Right. Mr. Karve, had there been any stocking up of inventory from wholesalers? Are they buying a little more so that, it's like a one-time thing and it's not, they don't have to continuously keep placing orders? So are they really stocking up, or dealer level stocking is not happening?
No, right now they are not stocking up, because for them also, they first have to supply to the retailers. So retailers have to come to the wholesalers to buy the goods. And unless and until that process recommences, I don't think the wholesale would be in any position to stock up.
Okay. Mr. Karve, one final question. Not really in a boardroom meeting, but in a boardroom meeting that is done at a social distance, what is it that you guys believe would be the out here? Do historical templates of companies facing such crisis prove to be any useful? How long do you think this can linger? Any thoughts there? Okay.
So when we discuss it in our top management team, and we also have kept the board informed quite regularly, the entire focus is to ensure that there is enough liquidity in the system, to ensure that people are safe, and to also reprioritize and reallocate resources where the prospects are better as compared to some other portfolio where the short-term and medium-term prospects may not look that rosy or favorable. So that's the approach that we are taking for every money that we would be spending from now for the next 6 months at least.
Well, I think a lot of this would have to be done by almost all firms as well, but appreciate you laying it out for us today, and thanks so much for speaking to us at BloombergQuint.
A pleasure, and stay safe.
And yes, to you too, sir. Thank you so much for joining in, and viewers, thank you so much for tuning in to this broadcast.
According to a recent report, women today contribute nearly 74% of real estate buying decisions. This includes